Is it coincidence or is it God, the universe, a higher source? I'm here to tell you, it's God, the universe, or a higher source, whatever you want to call it. I refer to it as God, and I'm telling you, it's amazing. I'm going to share a couple quick stories because they happen all of the time, almost every single day. And there's a key as to how you can make this happen in your own life. So listen for that key because I've had to learn it. I've had to develop it. Years ago, when I was pregnant with my first child, Jenna, so we're talking 33 years ago, right? I was driving the car and I was prompted, I'm 8 months pregnant, prompted to go to Pick and Save. Well, we were broke. We had no money. And I'm like, I don't need anything from the grocery store and I don't have any money. And the prompting came again, go to Pick and Save, go to Pick and Save, which is a grocery store in Wisconsin. So I pulled into the grocery store and I walked in and the lady offered me coupons and I'm like, I don't need any, I don't have any money, and then I stood there. I was like, okay, God, being sassy as I am, what am I supposed to do now? Here I am. And I hear this crying and I hear this child just crying and crying. And I'm like, oh, that's not okay. What can I do to help? So I walk down and I find this mother holding a screaming baby. Her children are crawling all over, the bags of salt and dog food that are in the front. And I recognize her from someone that I had seen at church before. So I walked up, I took the baby and I finished checking out all the groceries, wrote the check, out of her checking account and helped her go. And then I offered to follow her home. She was a single mom. I unpacked all her groceries, helped give her kids baths, made her dinner, and then left. Like I literally had no idea that was going to happen. I've had that happen over and over again. And even just with this whole passing of my friend Mary, the Wednesday before we brought her home, I was prompted to reach out to everyone in her address book that had reached out to her in the last 4 or 5 months and send them a text saying, this is probably going to be it. The doctors had never told me she was passing. The nurses never told me, but something told me, right? Someone said Karen and whispered, reach out to everyone. And so I did. I am so glad for that because she was able to hear and speak verbally and very fluently with relatives and friends she had not seen in sometimes decades, right? But these are people that I knew of, people that had reached out to her in the last 4 or 5 months. And it was amazing. And there was one instance, there was a family that she had not talked to in years, but I knew of them, and to watch her face light up and have this wonderful conversation before she passed away. And I took her home 4 days later, and that was it. She didn't speak again after Saturday. That was a prompting, right? One time I was in Vegas and I was heading to Utah and I'm like, I'll just take my car. It's only 2.5 hours and I don't want to waste the gas. And the Spirit was like, no, you're taking your RV. I'm like, really? I'm like, okay, fine. I'll take the RV up the long hill. And then I missed my exit. So I ended up going through the gorge in my RV and I pulled over to get gas, and boom, Richard, right, my new friend now on social media, a huge influencer on Telegram, pulls over, and we just hit it off right away and had so much fun. And now he's become a very good friend of mine, So happened again last night when I had that huge crash and all my stuff went flying all over. I had a plate that got stuck under my slide. Well, that's dangerous in an RV. You can't have anything under the slide, and so I couldn't open my slide until I got it out. And so I opened the door, and boom, there were some people that just came in their trailer and their truck, and I went over and talked with them and asked if they'd be able to help me. And the guy grabs a crowbar and pulls it out of the slide, and here they're another influencer, and they're lovely people. They're a family that travel. I'll hit up with them and give you the link to that. One time I was driving. And I dropped off my kids and I brought all my gardening things, and you'll read about a couple of these stories in my book. And I just literally I just drove through a subdivision looking for someone who I felt might need help. And I pulled over and knocked on the door of this house. And I said, hey, I have all my gardening stuff. Can I garden with you for a few hours? Oh, I made a friend forever, right? It was super great. So you will be prompted constantly once you start listening. And this is the key. We actually have to listen. We have to look for the promptings. And I think there's a lot of things happening right now to distract us. Now, mind you, there's a lot going on in the world. There's a lot happening, right? And so we can't deny what's going on worldwide and intergalactic wide and whatever else is going on. But we also need to remember that if we are so busy, if we are so caught up in anger and frustration with the other side, right? The people who don't wear their masks, the people who wear their masks, or or whatever stupid thing you're getting all caught up on. And they are stupid. That's a bad word, by the way. That's the S word in my family. So those are really bad things, right? Anyhow, we're not going to listen. We're not going to hear anything. If you've got music blaring all the time and you're constantly distracted with this talk show and this talk show and this documentary and this going on, and you aren't going to listen. And so the key to being prompted is to actually rest your soul, rest your mind, and listen. And they will happen. So yes, I woke up one Sunday morning at 3 in the morning, 4 in the morning, and it said, get back to Vegas. And I went to Vegas. Yes, I took 10 hours to get home from California one time because I was just lollygagging around. And I felt prompted to go here and prompted to go there. And I ended up on Mary's doorstep 10 minutes before the doctor called and told her what was actually happening throughout the body. What if I had not been there? The next day I was there and I packed up her entire house over the next week. My daughter Julia sold her house in 4 days and we moved her into her other home that she always had in Vegas. Like, following the promptings will not just bless you and benefit your family, it will benefit all those you're led to help. So my 5-minute orientation here today, my request is to rest your mind so you also can hear those promptings, because they will bless you in ways you can never comprehend. Have a wonderful day. Turn off the radio, quiet your mind, and listen. And trust me, it works.